The city of Daru was alive with the scent of fried plantains, car exhaust, and the lingering perfume of ambition. Beneath the glittering skyline and chaotic street markets, secrets paused like a hidden heartbeat. In the heart of the city, in the crowded neighborhood of Umoja Estate, 16-year-old Zuri sat on the edge of her bed, staring at a plastic stick. Two pink lines. Her chest tightened. She was pregnant. Outside, the city moved on. Motorbikes whipped through traffic. Vendors shouted over each other, and Afrobeat blasted from a distant speaker. But in Zuri's tiny room, time stood still. Her mother, Mama Jalia, was a respected woman, a nurse at the local clinic. She had raised Zuri and her younger brother, Malik, alone. After their father abandoned them, she often spoke of reputation, dignity, and the sacrifices women must make to be respected. And now, this. Zuri felt the walls closing in. The father of her child was someone no one would ever expect, someone whose name she couldn't say aloud, someone untouchable. The next morning, Zuri dragged herself to school, trying to ignore the nausea twisting her stomach. Umoja Secondary was a public school with overcrowded classrooms and teachers who were always on strike. It was a place where secrets didn't stay hidden for long. Her best friend, Amina, noticed her mood immediately. "Zuri, what's wrong?" she whispered as they sat in the back of the class. Zuri hesitated, telling Amina meant surrendering to the truth. "I'm pregnant." Amina's eyes widened. "What? How? Who?" She stopped, lowering her voice. "Who is the father?" Zuri shook her head. "I can't say." Amina bit her lip. "Zuri, people will talk. They always do." And they did. Within days, whispers slithered through Umoja Estate like smoke. Some claimed Zuri was careless. Others speculated about the father. The most popular theory? That she had been involved with one of the wealthy men who prowled the neighborhood looking for young girls to exploit. Zuri kept her head down, ignoring the stares, but she knew the truth was much worse. The real father of Zuri's child was none other than Kato Umari, the mayor's son. Kato was 23, charming and dangerously powerful. He lived in the gated community of Green Haven, where the city's elite built their castles away from the common people. He had met Zuri at a political rally where her school had been invited to perform. At first, he was just a friend, someone who tested her late at night with jokes and promises. But one evening, after a party, things changed. Zuri had wanted to say no, but Kato was persuasive. Afterward, he disappeared like a shadow at dawn. Now, he refused to answer her calls. She knew what this meant. If she spoke out, no one would believe her. Kato was untouchable. His father controlled the city, the police, even the media. She was just a girl from Umoja, but secrets have a way of unraveling. Mama Jalia found out 3 weeks later. Zuri had tried to hide the pregnancy, but a mother always knows. "Zuri," she said one evening, her voice quiet but firm, "tell me the truth." Tears burned Zuri's eyes. I don't know what to do, Mama." The slap came before she could prepare, sharp, stinging, not just from pain, but disappointment. "You have shamed me." Mama Jalia's voice trembled with emotion. "Who is the father?" Zuri hesitated. If she said Kato's name, it would ruin everything. Their family had no power, no connections. But before she could answer, Malik burst in. "Mama, the neighbors are talking. They say Zuri is pregnant." Mama Chalia closed her eyes, breathing heavily. That night, Suri cried herself to sleep, but outside, the city whispered, and soon her secret would no longer be hers alone. By the end of the week, the gossip had reached new heights. Everyone had a theory. Some claimed Suri was lying for attention. Others insisted she had seduced a rich man. And then, the unthinkable happened. A video leaked online. Someone had recorded a conversation between two politicians at a private event, discussing Kato Humari's little problem in Umoja. Within hours, the city was in an uproar. The mayor's son had gotten a schoolgirl pregnant. Zuri's world exploded. News reporters camped outside their home. Strangers sent her hateful messages. Some called her a gold digger. Others accused her of trying to destroy a good man's reputation. Mama Chalia refused to leave the house. Malik got into fights, defending Zuri's honor. And Kato, he was silent until one evening, when a black SUV pulled up outside their house. The mayor himself had come. Mayor Umari stepped out, his face unreadable. He was a man used to getting what he wanted. Inside, he sat across from Mama Chalia, his voice smooth as silk. "Let's make this simple," he said. "Take this money, leave the city, disappear." Zuri's heart pounded. He was offering them a way out, a way to erase her mistake, but at what cost? Mama Chalia looked at the thick envelope on the table, then at Zuri. "No," she said. The mayor's smile faded. "Excuse me? My daughter is not a problem to be paid away." His eyes darkened. "You don't know what you are doing." Mama Julia stood her ground. "Neither do you." The next morning, Zuri woke to chaos. Women from Umoja Estate had gathered outside, shouting slogans. "No more silence, justice for Zuri." The story has spread beyond control. Activists, journalists, even university students joined the protest. Social media exploded with "Justice for Zuri." For the first time, Kato spoke. He released a statement denying everything, but the city no longer believed him. The scandal had grown too big. The pressure was too much. Within weeks, Kato fled the country. The mayor announced he would not seek re-election, and Zuri, she was still afraid, but for the first time, she felt something else: hope. As the days passed, Zuri's pregnancy became more visible, and so did the weight of judgment. At school, teachers looked at her with disappointment. Some students whispered, while others stared at her belly, as if it were a scarlet letter. She considered dropping out. The thought of walking through those hallways, enduring these tears, was unbearable, but Mama Jalia wouldn't hear of it. "You will not give up your future because of a mistake. If people talk, let them talk. You are more than their words." With her mother's unwavering support, Zuri kept going. She studied in the evenings, pushing through nausea and exhaustion. Amina helped her with class notes, and though some friends distanced themselves, a few stayed by her side. But the hardest part was the fear of motherhood, fear of what people would say, fear of how she would raise a child alone. Until one day, she met Auntie Binta. Auntie Binta was a midwife and an old friend of Mama Jalia's. She had delivered hundreds of babies in Umoja and beyond. When she heard about Zuri's situation, she visited their house one evening, her presence filling the tiny living room with warmth. "My dear," she said, taking Zuri's hands, "you are not the first girl to walk this road, and you will not be the last. But the road is easier when you have sisters to walk with you." Zuri had never thought of herself as strong, but Auntie Binta saw something in her. Over the months, she taught Zuri about pregnancy, childbirth, and what to expect. She introduced her to a support group for young mothers, where girls just like her shared their fears and hopes. For the first time, Zuri didn't feel alone. despite the support, the financial burden was crushing. Mama Chalia's salary barely covered their needs, and medical bills loomed ahead. But Umoja Estate was a place of unexpected kindness. Amina's mother, who owned a small restaurant, offered Zuri part-time work. Neighbors donated baby clothes. Even some of the women who once whispered about her now came forward with advice and encouragement. And Zuri, she fought. She refused to let her pregnancy define her. She studied harder, determined to pass her exams. She attended prenatal classes, learned about breastfeeding, and prepared for the day she would become a mother. Most importantly, she began to dream again, not just for herself, but for her child. The night labor pain started. A storm raged outside. It was as if the city itself was preparing for change. Mama Charlie and Auntie Binta rushed Zuri to the clinic, where she fought through the pain, gripping her mother's hand with everything she had. Hours later, as the first light of dawn touched the city, Zuri had the first cry of her daughter. She was small, fragile, but perfect. Tears rolled down Zuri's face as she held her child. In that moment, she realized something powerful. She had survived, not just the pregnancy, but the shame, the judgment, the fear. She had walked through fire and emerged whole. She named her daughter Nia because that was what she had found. Months later, as Zuri sat in a small cafe, rocking Nia in her arms, she reflected on how far she had come. The scandal had faded, replaced by new gossip and new controversies. Kato was gone, his name only whispered in hushed tones. The mayor had lost his power, but Zuri, she had graduated, she had enrolled in college, determined to study social work and help other girls like herself. The city that once whispered against her now whispered her name with respect. She was no longer just a girl from Umoja. She was a mother, a survivor, a fighter, and she was just getting started.